Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda and Barker Kia. Stay tuned for more Bayou Time Sports, brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System, Community Sports Institute, Barker Honda, and Barker Kia.
they fought to the end like we always teach them to do. And, we got some things to do, get better at. And we were just glad to go against somebody else. That's what the Jamboree is for, to see where we at, see where we're going at, and what we got to do, we got to get improved on. Jeremy Cleveland, he's going to be our go-to guy, and he had a good pass. He has some good runs. We just got to clean up a little bit on the offensive line, and I think we'll be okay on offense. Special teams is one thing that we do a lot of. Just proud that they didn't give up, and that shows that what kind of kids we got. We're going to fight to the end. We have Vanderbilt next week over there. The Terrors, last year we had some injuries and everything like that. We were looking for a good game against them.
I think when you talk about tonight's game, you talk about the greatness of high school football. I mean, that was a hard-fought game. It's a jamboree, it's 30 minutes, and it took every last second of that one to try to determine a winner, with the outcome being 22-22. So, hats off to my kids, hats off to Central Lafourche. I mean, everybody fought, and I love the fight that South Terrebonne showed tonight. I think when you talk about key players, I think you got to talk about Brody Dupree. Love what he did there offensively. I think you got to talk about Breeze Blanchard at the quarterback spot, running point man for us, on that side. And you look at some of the guys like on defense, Trinaj Smith and T.J. Lewis been playing really good for us. So, I think we've been leaning on those guys. They know we're leaning on them. And we're looking for great things to continue out of them. And look, I'm leaving out a lot of dudes here now. A lot of dudes played their tails off tonight, and I can't give enough shout out. I think the last thing, though, I got to shout out, O-line I thought did a great job tonight, really stepping up. Next week, week one, we're going out to Lafayette area and we're playing Como High, so we're excited about that. Season's here, and now we're playing for keeps. There's no ties at the end of next week, so that's exciting. I think, it allows us to go in over the weekend after a hard-fought game and see how we're going to respond and get ready for week one all week. I mean, I look forward to everything with football season. I'll tell you what I'm really looking forward to this season is this senior class. They're the first class. They were freshmen when I came in. They've grown into great young men, and I love being around them. So I'm looking forward to, this last football season with them and making it go as long as possible.
This segment was brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda and Barker Kia.